My Aunt Betty from Hollis, Queens, holds out those thick, freckled arms, a pair of pink Hebrew national salamis jiggling from armpit to elbow. "Stevie," she exclaims, as if she hadn't seen me the night before in my house in Roslyn Heights. "Come here," pulling me nose first into that massive bosom. "Oh my God, you're so skinny," she wails. "Doesn't your mother feed you?" Inside that suffocating cleavage, I hear the muffled, icy voice of my mother right behind. "He eats just fine, Betty." "Well," Betty cackles, "we gotta fatten him up if we're ever going to eat him." And with that, I am dragged by the bony wrist into her steamy kitchen, stuffed with red-cheeked aunts in aprons, Miriam, Susie, Sylvia, Judy, and some women, distant cousins, I suppose, whom I've never seen in my 9 years. Aunt Miriam, a pint to Betty's gallon, turns from the hot stove in her ruffled apron. "He looks just fine to me, Betty. Now let him go play with his cousins in the backyard." Miriam is an elementary school teacher in Queens and doesn't take guff from anyone except Uncle Mac, who is skinny and smokes a big cigar. I try to yank myself away, but I'm stopped short like a toy dog on a leash. "Not before you have some of this, young man," Betty's free hand swooping around with a forkful of juicy, oniony brisket. "And this, something pruny and gloppy." She waits it until it's all the way down the gullet and, tightening her grip on my wrist, says with a wink to my about-to-be appalled Aunt Sylvia, who has heirs, "It'll make good duties." Sylvia rolls her eyes and then turns away. My mother glowers. Betty stands still as a Guernsey in a warm spring wind, one hand clutching a dinner roll like my hero Johnny Padres holds a baseball, the other clamped on her skin and bones nephew, still yanking. "Leave him alone, Betty," commands my mother. "He wants to go out and play, don't you, Stevie?" says timid Aunt Susie, standing behind Miriam. I turn my big-eared head and nod, careful not to open my mouth. From the corner of my eye, I see Betty drop the roll on the big table next to a toilet-sized tureen of matzo ball soup and a platter of something I don't recognize. "Let him go, Betty," orders 5'0" Aunt Miriam. The massive bosom heaves up and down as the white sausages slowly loosen their grip on my wrist. But just as I twist away, my tongue is suddenly wrapped around something warm and rubbery skinned, something clumpy squishing out the sides. Eyes blurred, throat choked, I am now sweating so profusely I slide out of Betty's grip and race out the back door, down the narrow steps to the tiny yard where my cousins Kenny and Jeffrey are playing. Bent over between the red and yellow tulips, I hear Jeffrey, Miriam's taciturn, beyond his years son, explain to Kenny, "Aunt Betty." And when I stand, purged, Jeffrey nods to Kenny and points to the back door like an oracle. "Kishke, stuffed derma, cow intestines, full of," he raises his eyebrows, "you know what."